Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Woohoo!
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. Oh my god, guys. We're both here, Stevie, Mark, and we're here to talk to you about UFO bases in Antarctica. Yes, it's a thing. Maybe. Allegedly. Supposedly. We're going to find out. Have you heard of UFO bases in Antarctica?
Yes, I have actually heard.
Yeah.
I have heard.
It's a thing.
I've also heard of that
as-
there were Nazi spy bases in Antarctica. So there's a lot of things that I've heard about our
one of
famous
the other
seventh
conspiracy theories is Hitler never died. He escaped with his minions and they set up shop in Antarctica because he wouldn't need the supplies and backing of his country to do that. That would be very easy to just sail down there, Drake's Passage, and
so super easy.
It'd be easy, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Argentina that everyone was like the Nazis were fleeing to, or was it Brazil?
Well,
I
they
know
might
it
have
was
been.
somewhere.
I'm just saying there's a theory that Hitler himself escaped and they set up shop down in Antarctica.
Yeah.
But
I heard the South
come
America
on.
theory about him. I mean, probably not. It's
Antarctica, that's one of the closest points.
It's Antarctica.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we've lightly touched on this in the past, kind of. This has to do with heat mapping. There's a heat map that exposed top secret military base in Antarctica. Ooh, this kind of correlates with another story. Unfortunately, I did spend a bit of time digging, and the other story, I just can't seem to find any info on it anymore. Imagine that. But we'll get into that in a little bit here. Let's start with the UFO base in Antarctica. So,
I heard
there's a heat map that pinpoints
Antarctica.
what I was going to say Africa. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I heard that.
So there's a heat map that pinpoints GPS activity that has been exposed. It exposed a top secret U.S. government base hidden in Antarctica. A UFO investigator has claimed. Well, it's a UFO investigator that claimed it. Must be true.
Internet said so.
Maybe. We're going to find out. The global heat map. This is published by GPS tracking company Strava. Strava. You've probably heard of it. Unveiled activity from as far away as Somalia and Yemen as well. Now, that's not surprising because these have to do with Fitbit data. So now it's claimed there is also activity shown in Antarctica, which claims it exposes an underground government base in the South Pole. According to this is what the Daily Star.co.uk reported anyways. So there's a guy, his name's Tyler Glockner. He has a YouTube channel, Secure Team 10. Now, the story's a little old. Most of ours could be from any given time frame. So, Secure Team 10 is Tyler Glockner's YouTube channel. He uploaded footage using the software appearing to show heat signatures from an isolated location in Antarctica.
Ooh.
Yes. Let's find out more. He said, "We have a new area of Antarctica that was discovered where, in the middle of nowhere, we had one of these heat maps. Interesting. We can obviously see the outline of what looks like a multi-level building, which obviously people who are wearing tracking devices, like likely government employees, have been walking around every single day. When the clip switches to Google Earth of the same area, however, nothing can be seen apart from mountains and snow. Of course, so what he's hinting at is they're covering it all up.
Well, I mean,
There is what
yes.
appears, there is what appears to be a man-made runway and camp some 7 miles away from the building, but nothing in its exact coordinates. Mr. Glockner said, that leads me to believe that whatever we are seeing in this heat map, it is definitely underground. You can see some of the lines here are overlapping, which signifies to me there are definite multiple levels. Well, I don't know about that. Just
don't know about the
using common
underground.
sense. Yeah, just using common sense, I'm not too sure. But, let's be extra sure and pull up an image here.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So the thing about Google Earth is that they will scrub certain images clean
Of course.
of
Yeah.
military stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Well, here's the first picture we have. You have the picture of those mountains and snow out there. And on the left is the tracking data, the lines that were drawn, according to him, showing a building that's underground. I don't necessarily see that, but he's pushing here. I must say the lines on this heat map are strikingly similar to a UFO. But in all seriousness, he mentions that the overlapping lines indicates this is an underground structure, multiple levels underground. And I'm not sure why he just jumps to that conclusion, because there's another possibility, which is people walking around in the same hallways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get overlapping lines. That doesn't necessarily mean different levels. So right there, you got to stop and think, guys. Back to common sense. You got to stop and think. If there's more than one possibility, and you can clearly see that, and someone is pushing, hey, there's clearly an underground building. There's clearly multi-story building because of these overlapping lines. I mean, if someone's pushing that and
I just don't see it.
You clearly see there's another possibility, then maybe you don't want to take this person's word for anything more than a grain of salt. Be skeptical,
Oh, for sure.
Honestly.
Because I don't even see what would look like a normal building pattern, I guess, in those lines.
Yeah, there's nothing
So
there that indicates a building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's move on.
Alrighty.
There is what appears to be a man-made runway and camp some 7 miles away from the building. So we mentioned that.
Yep.
But nothing in these specific coordinates. Glockner said, that leads me to believe whatever we're seeing in the heat map's definitely underground. Again, nothing there shows that's underground necessarily. You got to remember, let's say someone went out there and walked that pattern in the snow one day, right, with their Fitbit going. Now that GPS data is logged, and they create those lines on the heat map. Does that mean because he sees it overlaid on the snow that it must mean there's an underground building? Yeah, I don't think so, because the map you're looking at is God knows how old or how recent. Snow covers things up. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting to a point here.
Yeah,
which
not
is
only that, but I mean, who knows? Like you said, how long? It could be forever. Because, example, this location I'm sitting at right now hasn't had an updated picture in Google Maps in 6 years. So who's to say that? I mean, and there's certain parts of California where I used to live that the satellite images are easily a decade old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how often are they really going to be trying to update Antarctica I mean, there's
Yeah.
multiple government
There's no point.
stuff there. So like why update something when you're just gonna have to go back through and blur a shit ton out?
And there's no point.
No.
So he continued, while there are many publicly known camps or bases or stations scattered around Antarctica, I firmly believe there's more of a mystery there. There are things underground which we are not being told about. He says, cringe. I mean, come on, dude. You're clearly just one-sided and not open. And I get it. You're probably looking for clicks. I mean, we are too, but we're not lying to you for it either. Right?
Yeah.
There are several popular conspiracy theories about there being secret U.S. military bases hidden in Antarctica where recovered UFOs are allegedly secretly stored and experimented on. Yes, those are real conspiracy theories. You guys out there, you've heard those before, as well as the dude back in the day, part of the military, and it's a real story. Back in the day, meaning like a long fucking time ago. And they went down there to explore what had never been explored, which was Antarctica. And that's the story of the guy who flew the plane, and he's flying over and he sees this huge hole in the snow in the ground. And as he flew over and looked down, he could see like it looked like a plush landscape down there. And the hole was so damn big, he was able to, circle around and fly the plane down in there. And there was animals, all this shit, right? So, I mean, there's tons of different types of stories. Obviously, Hitler, which we're getting to. One of the stories even suggests that after World War II, the Nazis escaped to Antarctica, and set up bases where they tried to develop UFO technology, and these have since been taken over by the United States.
I'm not too sure. I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one, but I've definitely heard the whole UFO like secret entrances and the ice. Like you have to take a submarine to get through to get to like these extravagant like under ice bases or something. I've definitely heard of those.
Yep.
Plausible? Sure. Logistically
maybe.
correct? Like logistically actually happening? Probably not.
Yep. Common sense,
cool,
guys.
though.
PFEs, proof, facts, evidence. That's what you need.
Now, don't get me wrong. I would love a Goonies moment where there's just like a small little opening and it just opens into this grand thing where you get your answers and, fucking One-Eyed Willie's ship is there with all its treasure. Now, if that did happen, that'd be fucking cool. But until then, it's going to stay in the 80s for me.
Do you know how quiet it must be in Antarctica?
Well,
that quiet, minus the crickets. I mean,
I don't think
it'd be so nice. I'd love to go down there.
I think it would be super windy.
Well, minus the wind. I
think the entire world would just sound squeaky. I don't know why. Just because it's so cold. Everything, like when it's cold, just squeaks. God. I just feel like any of the buildings would squeak or like walking everything. Each step, like the snow would go squeak, 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 squeak. Anyone who lives in the Midwest will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, one of the commenters on this guy's posts and YouTube, whatever, used some common sense, and he pointed out, quote, if it was underground there would be no GPS signal and therefore no location tracking. I mean, no shit.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! One of your commenters figured it out.
Just might.
Well.
Just might.
Yeah. Let's see. So Scott Brando, he runs a debunking website called UFOofinterest.org. He said, as reported by many media, GPS points can show sensitive information about the location and staffing of military bases, military personnel on active service, and spy outposts. This is true. Mm-hmm. We know Strava released their global heat map showing 13 trillion GPS points from their users, but we don't know how many human activities or military bases can be identified without falling into a conspiracy. Right, you're jumping into the rabbit hole. You can't just look at it and say, oh my gosh, look, there's people walking. No shit. We know there's people walking around Antarctica. No, there's not 1 million people. There's not even 500,000 people. Probably, I'd maybe 1,000. I don't know. Not many though.
Mm-mm.
Of course, if they're wearing a Fitbit, it's going to show up, man. So February
But we're
21st,
also
yes.
we're also forgetting about the fact that there's also scientific research stations on Antarctica as well. So it's may not even necessarily military. It could be scientific research station as well.
Yeah, and there's not supposed to be military. It's part of this treaty and blah, 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 blah. But there's been long-standing rumors that more than one country have a little military base down there, and I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
I mean, Antarctica is pretty much for the most part like hacked up into sectors, like unofficially hacked up into sectors.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean,
I think it was I just read in the news. I think it was Iran is claiming Antarctica is theirs. I'm sorry. Have you guys in Iran not had enough of the United States? Please, just don't.
But
Just don't, man. We don't need another war.
How do they
You
claim
can't.
to?
Who knows?
Okay.
Well, oh God. Let's see here. A few years back, Strava, the running and cycling app, it released a cool new feature. It would automatically show you heat maps of all the routes you've biked or run. You could easily see the routes and locations you run the most and have a visual heat map anywhere you've run. Cool. It also released a crowdsourced version where you could see where Strava members have run the most all around the world. You would expect these to be super heavy along trail routes, cycling routes, and big cities where people constantly run. And they did.
Yeah.
But like most things involving Reddit, people started digging further, and specifically, they started to run into heat maps in the middle of nowhere, places that shouldn't have people anywhere near them. And they found more and more. They were all specifically geometrically shaped, like they were running around the perimeter of a building or compound or something. Now, before I continue, this is by Joel Runyon, February 21st, 2021. Don't know who he is. He's just a guy. We're going to find out a little bit more, though. So this is all coming from him, okay? This is what he's saying is exactly what you'd expect to see from this. And turns out the Strava heat map accidentally revealed locations of unofficial secret government facilities around the world and the perimeters that the people would run around throughout the day. This is all true. I'm not sure, he said, how I stumbled across the thread, but somehow I found this, and this map immediately seemed familiar to me. So he saw this. He saw the heat map. He saw what we're talking about, what we're looking at, that line, those lines on the heat map I just showed you. And he's saying, this looks familiar to me for some reason. So he said, not just the blue ice and the mountain range on one side, but something about the pattern. I had a particular amount of physical pain associated with that type of movement. Well, what the fuck is he talking about? We're going to find out.
So lost. What?
Yeah, well, we're getting there. He's getting to a point. Let me show you the picture again before we move on. This is
it looks
right
like a
here.
Cup. It looks like a measuring cup that's like
the
half
lines
full.
From the heat map. The lines from the heat map from the Fitbit GPS data, and it was located where this green dot is next to the mountains here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that down. He says, so, since it all seemed familiar, of course, I went back to my Strava to check my history because he has a Fitbit. And it turns out the inner trapezoid on the public heat map was the 10K route at Union Glacier in Antarctica. I don't know a lot of parts of Antarctica, but I know that 10K route very well. I ran around it 10 times. The little triangle coming off of it is the modified 10K loop that the marathoners would add on, so they'd hit 42K on their fourth loop and complete a full marathon. Conspiracies debunked again. Surprise of fucking prize. Well, let's look at some pictures here.
Cup.
Let's look at some pictures. This is this guy's Joel Runyon's his Fitbit data showing where he ran. It's the same. That's why it looked very familiar, because he
Yeah.
ran the route. This is one of them. This is the other one that he took. And let's get a better visual. Here's a map. Oh, what do we have? There is a runway over here, because how else are you going to get to fucking Antarctica to go run your country to country 10K? Well, this is how. That's
They
why there's
really
a
have a
runway
10K
there.
in Antarctica.
Yeah, it was some country to country thing they did. Yeah. So, yeah, there is a camp there. There is a route of Fitbit data, because these were runners doing a 10K. Yeah, common sense tells me at least one of them's going to have a Fitbit on. And now you get multiple lines going around the track. But apparently, to some people, that means an underground base with multiple levels, because they're overlapping lines. Or because you got 20 fucking people running the same route with Fitbits.
Freaking 10K on Antarctica. I'm kind of hung up on that part still. Like, people fly to Antarctica to run? Ew. First off,
no thanks.
2 out of 3 things that I'm not okay with. I'm okay with flying, not okay with Antarctica, not okay with running. So who runs in the cold? Like, I'll run, but in the cold, it's just like knives stabbing you in the fucking chest as you try to breathe that air in. Like, no, thank you. Why willingly pay money to go somewhere to do that? Ugh.
I mean, you're not going to get the vuvuzelas and air horns everywhere along the route out there. There ain't nobody watching that. No one.
No.
Well,
I wonder if they pass out water, if they just pass out cups of snow.
Well, you can't drink snow. You have to melt it.
Yeah, but it's so cold there.
Snow is not. Snow's not efficient. Snow is not efficient. Tell that to my dog.
She eats snow all the time.
If you're going to drink water made from snow, it's not efficient. You fill up a whole pot of snow and melt it, you'll wind up with next to nothing compared to what you put in, because there's so much air in between, each particle. So this is one of the pictures of the map. Jesus, there's even a passenger shuttle. I wonder if it's a UFO. Here's a zoomed in look. I mean, this guy killed it, debunked it because some fool put this shit out there is crap. And guys, don't believe everything you hear. Even from us. If you don't believe me, you don't believe Stevie, that's fine. Go do your own looking into things. I mean, it's not hard with some things. Others it is. But don't believe everything you hear just because someone's very boisterous and loud and out there and in your face. That doesn't mean shit. If anything, it usually means the opposite of true.
Look at my snake oil. Come on. Look at my snake oil.
There are plenty of Antarctica stories, though. Hitler going there, we saw UFO bases. The guy that flew the plane, there's allegedly this huge hole. I mean, there's supposedly pyramids under the snow. I mean, there's tons of stuff that, I mean, unfortunately, they're probably all conspiracy theories if you're saying the government's hiding it all, right? And that's kind of sad, because who knows, maybe there are some pyramids down there. I've seen some data on that looks possibly convincing, but until you melt that snow, it's kind of hard to really tell. But you do get a good outline, and it indicates that maybe that's possible. Who knows?
Think of all the fossils that are on there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a ton. One of the other stories I was trying to find that I just cannot find right now. This has to do with, I want to say this was Trump and his vice president. I could be wrong. It might have been either Biden's vice president or Obama's. And I'm not sure, because I looked them both up. I looked them all up, and I still couldn't hit on the story. And what the story was that literally during the inauguration, after one of these presidents had been elected, and during the inauguration, the fucking VP was in Antarctica. It was something that got released in this Fitbit data of people that were down there. And they had, this might have come from WikiLeaks. I could be wrong. I thought I heard that recently somewhere. Either way, they got the names. These people were fucking down there, and these were high level people. It wasn't just this VP, vice president. There was a few other people, and they're like, why is this guy down there during his own counterpart, the president's inauguration? Like, that's weird.
Hmm.
And it seemed like a very true story. I think it was WikiLeaks. If I can find it, we'll do a quick show on it at some point.
Yeah.
But it might have been WikiLeaks that released that portion of it, saying, "Oh my God, look at the people that have been down there. Why do they need to go down there? There's nothing there." So if true, I mean, that's
there's
interesting.
things there. There are things there. It's just on a need to know basis.
Snow.
And we do not need to know.
Snow and bears. I mean,
penguins.
Yeah, it is what it is. There's reasons they're there. Personally, I don't fucking care, and the reason why is because there's nothing I can do about it, even if it is something nefarious. But here's a good way to look at it. You live in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
last I checked.
Therefore, you sure as hell hope we got something down there, because there's other countries that have tried or are trying to get shit down there. So,
I wonder how many different countries have claims.
Well, I mean, there's other countries that have air quote research facilities down there, just like we have air quote research facilities down there.
Right.
I'm not going to hound any country for anything they do in a situation like that, because we do the same shit. So, I just hope we come out on top.
7 countries to answer my question.
Yeah.
7 countries.
Sounds about right. It's not much, but yeah.
Yeah. Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, United States.
Good job, Stevie.
Yay.
Yeah, man.
But then, according to the British, 18 countries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's probably like 7 countries or so that have something down there as far as research stations.
Claim. There we go.
And they may take others from other countries.
Exactly
with them.
it. 7 countries maintain territorial claims. 18 countries operate year-round scientific research stations.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, you got any final comments on this one? I mean, it's kind of interesting. Before we get to your final comments, I want to make a point, because this is important, and this is something I'm about, and I think maybe you're about. Proofs. I don't know why I'm saying
PFEs?
proofs tonight.
Proofs.
Proof. PFEs. Proof, facts, evidence. Right.
Proofs.
You got to look at it, and if there is none, you got to question it. You have to. Okay. And this story is a perfect example of that. You have a person who's saying, for a fact, UFOs, possibly, underground base, multi-story, because of lines going around on this heat map, multiple lines in the same patterns. And, I would think that on different levels, you may have different hallways set up in different locations. I wouldn't expect them to necessarily be the same route.
Right.
And you have to question that. You look at that and you're like, well, but there's other options. Right there, you have to call the bluff. And even if you don't have the facts or any evidence, you're okay to call it out. You should.
Yeah.
Because there's more to it. And if you're really looking for the truth, you're going to be open to any possibility, and you're going to change your view as new evidence comes to light that proves this way or that way, or proves that we may need to maybe lean a little more to this side than this side. And this guy just proved it. He happened to look at this shit. He's a runner. He does 10Ks. And that image looks so familiar. Why? Because he has a Fitbit, because he uses Strava to look at his own routes and stuff. That's why it looks so familiar. Turns out it's where he ran. So, question things. What do you think, Stevie? I mean, this one's kind of interesting. It's nothing crazy, but it goes into the obscure when you have a person talking about UFOs and hidden top secret underground bases.
I mean, I feel like Antarctica, if the aliens were to come here and choose an area in which to make a base, Antarctica would be it. I feel like it's very secluded. Pretty much no one fucking goes there. I mean, I'm sure that they're not as immune to the cold like we are, as they're advanced beings. So Antarctica to me makes sense. I mean, I'm sure there are probably pockets of, underneath the ice and whatever, but it's plausible. If I was an alien, I would choose Antarctica. So do I believe it?
I wouldn't. You know why? Because I'd see how these stupid little peon humans can't get more than 20 feet below the surface of the fucking ocean. I'd go hide right next to their shoreline so I'd have easy access to them and their cows at night.
Okay, so
why go so far away? Yes, you can travel super fast, but why go so far away?
What if it's only one type of aliens that want our cattle, and it's just like, say, the Greys who want our cattle?
What if it's not aliens?
What if it's us?
Look at crop circles. There's people that have admitted they were doing
crop
them.
circles. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I only say that because I've been watching a lot of the show Resident Alien on Netflix lately, and oh my fuck, it is so funny because there's a little kid who can see him out of everyone in the world. Apparently, only like 1 in 10,000 people or something like that can actually like see him, minus his cloaking abilities. So
yeah.
So he was talking to the kid, and the kid said something about like abducting, and he was like, "No, only the Greys have an ass fetish." And I was like, I just started cracking up, and I'm like, fair, because he's not a Grey. He has like the alien eyes, but he is more of like a purple blue.
Please come to my house and play with me, Grey. Ooh.
No. So, but that's the only reason I bring it up like that, is just because that show has been in my head a lot. Freaking great show. Please watch it. Please get Netflix, people. It's worth it.
Yeah. Well, with that said, like, share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to interact with you. But just as important, if you have an obscure story of your own, please shoot us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. obscuredr1@gmail.com. Don't forget to put the .com on there. I had someone recently send me an email on a quote or something, and I gave them my email as what my email is at Gmail. Thinking they would know .com at the end, and they sent the email. 2 hours later, I called them up, said, I never got the email you said you were sending. She's like, that's weird. I sent it. And she goes and looks. He goes, oh, I forgot to put the .com on the end. But obscuredr1@gmail, type story in the subject line so we know what it is, and we will tell your story for you anonymously or not anonymously. If you'd like to be on the show, we can do that. It's fairly simple for you, and you can do so anonymously or not. It's up to you. With that said, that concludes tonight's episode of Obscured Reality. Stevie and Mark, peace and out.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.